A man was eating, but along with the rice, he also swallowed the spoon because, to him, the spoon tasted better than the rice. In reality, the man's worst ability, called metal manipulation, had awakened. Yes, the lowest level, F class. But with this power, he could eat metal and become even stronger. In his previous life, Tong had used this pathetic ability to become the Steel Emperor. With just a wave of his hand, thousands of metal arrows would fly through the air and wipe out his enemies. But fate betrayed him. The very humanity he had protected for 10 years killed him. As he died, Tong's eyes were filled with regret. If only I had known the way to become stronger sooner, maybe everything could have been saved. But this regret worked like a prayer. When Tong's eyes opened again, he had returned to the very moment he first came to join the military. In this world, anyone whose ability awakens must serve in the military. At that time, Tong's unit was being punished simply because 9 bullet shells were missing. But the truth was that Tong had already eaten all those shells. His ability was considered F class, and he could barely control 300 grams of metal. But as he digested metal, his power would increase. Like that day at lunch, when everyone was hungry, all the spoons in the canteen had disappeared. Tong was looking at a spoon as if it were a piece of candy. The next moment he swallowed it. Metal absorption, 12 minutes remaining for digestion. Control capacity will increase by 1.25 grams from the absorbed metal. He thought in despair, at this rate, it will take a lifetime to reach my previous level. But his gaze fell on the distant watchtower. Is this the only way? 3 days later, Tong had learned to completely control a knife. That night, it was his turn for guard duty. He slowly went to his comrade Park Jamal and asked, "Do you trust me?" Park was a little startled but said, "Wes, I do. I've sensed a metal movement. I'm going to check it out. You stay here and don't tell headquarters." Meanwhile, a portal opened near the unit's camp, and several goblins started falling out. Just then, a knife flew through the air and plunged straight into a goblin's chest. The attacker was Tong, who had been waiting for the opportunity. 3 days and nights of waiting had not been in vain. The goblin got up, vomited yellow spit, and ran towards Tong. "I'm level 1, but I don't like doing things twice." Tong controlled the knife and slit the goblin's throat. A shining magic steel emerged from its body. Without wasting a moment, Tong put it in his mouth. "You absorbed otherworldly magic steel. Power increase detected." The other goblins were stunned, and Tong smiled like a predator. "If I eat this, my path will become even easier." At the next moment, Tong jumped right into the middle of the goblins. His knife was cutting their tendons with perfect accuracy, but he wasn't killing them. He wanted their screams to lure out the goblin chief. Just then, a goblin saw an opportunity and attacked him. But Tong controlled a large sword on the ground and knocked the weapon out of its hand in one stroke, then cut off its head. "I've been stabbed in the back before. Now, whoever betrays me, I will chew them up." Hearing these terrifying words, the goblins began to tremble. But Tong knew that the real threat, the goblin chief, was still hiding somewhere. To lure him out, Tong deliberately showed a weakness. As soon as he reached out to pick up the magic steel from the ground beneath him burst open, and 10-meter-long metal spikes shot up. Many goblins were killed on the spot. The goblin chief thought Tong was dead, but the next moment, a sword emerged from the cloud of dust and moved towards him. The chief blocked it with his staff, not knowing it was just a diversion. Tong's knife was silently moving towards his body, but as it pierced his skin by a millimeter, the chief caught it. "Such a cunning human. I can't make a mistake this time." At that very moment, Park Jun-mao arrived, looking for Tong. The chief immediately ordered all the goblins to run towards Park. Park's condition became so bad that he had no strength left in his legs. In the emergency, Tong had no choice. He fired one shot after another and saved Park Jun-mao's life. Then Tong controlled his greatsword and delivered a powerful, deadly blow, but the goblin quickly swung its sword and deflected the attack. Tong then kneed him and shoved bullets straight into his mouth. As Tong turned around, all the goblins had disappeared. Tong said, "He turned out to be more cunning than I expected." The sound of gunshots had reached headquarters. "Outposts, report your situation." Tong immediately responded on the radio. A portal opened near the encampment. Monster type of goblin. They all disappeared after a brief skirmish. An order immediately came from the radio. "All posts, defender station." I repeat, all posts, defender station. Tong knew Valkyrie was coming, and if she did, she would close the portal and take all the spoils. Adamantium, the same legendary equipment that had made him the Steel Emperor in his past life. If he couldn't eat it now, he would have to wait another 4 years. Just then, a call for help came from Outpost 6. "A large number of goblins have surrounded us, requesting backup." Tong understood. This was his chance. "This is Outpost 5. We will support Outpost 6. F-Class, don't throw your life away. Wait for Valkyrie to arrive, but Tong ignored it. He wanted the adamantium at any cost, be it punishment or death. Outpost 6 was still holding on, but then the goblin chieftain started raining dozens of stones down on the post. After the bombardment, the post was full of cracks. The 2 soldiers inside had lost hope. Then, Tong's voice came over the radio. Outpost 6, I'm coming. Archer, load your arrows and use your flame ability. It was pitch dark outside, the archer couldn't see anything. Then a faint light shone in the distance. Archer, aim in that direction. I'll control the trigger. Tong was chasing a goblin, and the archer's arrow followed the moving light. Tong pressed the metal trigger, and a flaming arrow plunged straight into the goblin's chest. Tong was doing all this to save his magic to fight the chieftain. But the hidden goblin chieftain saw him and immediately threw a large rock at him. Tong did a backflip into the bushes to hide and signaled the archer to load another arrow. Under Tong's control, they took out several more goblins one by one. Meanwhile, Park Jun Mao had snuck out to find the chieftain, but a goblin saw him. It raised its axe and was about to cut off Mao's head when a knife flew through the air and lodged itself in the goblin's throat. Tong immediately appeared from behind, pressed the trigger, and another flame arrow took down the goblin. As his magic was spent, the number of goblins decreased. Now, Tong only had 20% of his magic left. Tong thought, he's sacrificing his soldiers just to exhaust my magic. Just then, Park Jun Mao's scream echoed. The goblin chieftain had him by the head, with his staff at his throat, a clear threat for Tong to surrender. Tong reluctantly dropped his weapon. 2 goblins pounced on him from behind, but Tong smiled. He magically pulled the trigger of a gun. It was Park Jama's. A shower of bullets hit the chieftain straight in the stomach. Tong ran like lightning, dodging the goblin's attacks. His dagger whistled through the air towards the chieftain but bounced off his thick leather armor. Now, only 9% of his magic was left. He had to end this fight before it ran out. The goblin chieftain ran towards the portal, but Tong's eyes fell on the metal necklace around its neck. He immediately controlled it and pulled the goblin back. Now, only 3% of his magic was left. Please, I have to eat you. He unleashed his last remaining magic. A cold light flashed in the night sky and plunged straight into the chieftain's throat. At that moment, a wave of light burst from a distance. Valkyrie's holy light. Tong quickly extracted the adamantium from the chieftain's body and swallowed it. By the time the support team arrived, Tong had already eaten the adamantium. Don't shoot. I'm Soldier Tong from Outpost 5. The support team found the dead chieftain beneath him, but the portal was still open, meaning some monsters were still left. 4F-class soldiers killing a chieftain. Impossible. But the state of the wounds clearly showed that Tong had killed them all alone. He lay on a stretcher with an unstoppable smile on his face. You have absorbed a legendary item. You have awakened a rare ability. You can now control all metal around you. Tong says, your Steel Emperor has returned. 3 days later, Tong's story was on everyone's lips in the unit. Everyone was preparing to die that day, and an F-class guy took his greatsword and cut down all the enemies. F-class. Seriously. Meanwhile, Tong was summoned to the battalion commander. Known as the Mountain Lord, he was the country's 66th ranked awakened. Standing right next to him were Valkyrie, the Shadow Summoner, and the C-class magician Lemingshi. The commander asked in a stern tone, Soldier, is it true that you broke orders to stop the monsters that came out of the portal? Tong knew that one wrong word would land him in detention, but he reported truthfully, during my duty, I spotted the portal and took immediate action. The commander was a little surprised. An F-class like you should have died in the first clash. Tong replied with full confidence, I remember you once said that if even a low-grade awakened fights by the book, an E-class can defeat a giant. Your words became my inspiration. Even as an F-class, I did just that. Hearing this, the commander's eyes filled with tears. He felt as if he had found one of his own. You will be my deputy officer. But Lemingshi immediately interrupted. We have never made an F-class a deputy officer. Tong, not wanting to draw attention, politely declined. Meanwhile, the archer from Outpost 6 revealed the whole story to everyone. Li Yuanqi, famous for tearing goblins apart with his bare hands, couldn't believe that a single man could stop the portal monsters. Perhaps this boy just killed the leftovers. A short while later, Li Yuanqi himself appeared before Tong. After earning such a name, you can only lift this much weight. I'm ashamed to look at you. Tong understood his intentions weren't good. If he kept avoiding him, he would be bullied again just like in his past life. He replied directly, I'm in a bad mood, you want to fight? Li Yuanqi thought he had misheard, but as soon as they both entered the boxing ring, he realized this boy had really come to die. On the other side, Qian Minga of the Black Tiger unit was a bit disappointed. The soldier who had the potential to become an inspector had gone on leave. A nearby soldier consoled him. He's gone, but there's another who won't disappoint you. That was Li Yuanxi. As soon as the match started, Li Yuanxi launched a fierce attack. In a moment of carelessness, Tong fell to the edge of the ring. Li Yuanxi seized the opportunity and threw a powerful punch, but Tong rolled to the center of the ring and gestured for him to hit harder. The crowd went wild. Li Yuanxi, don't lose the match! We've bet on you! But Li himself couldn't understand why his feet felt so heavy, as if he were walking through a swamp. In reality, Tong was controlling the metal in his shoes. Li stopped the match. Something's wrong with my feet, Tong said. Have they gone soft from fear? Hearing this, Li Yuanxi's anger soared. He forgot this was a boxing match and activated his ability. His body instantly turned into a hulking figure, his D-class ability Bodhi enhancement. But there was no trace of fear in Tong's eyes, as angry as a bull and as calm as a cheetah. Qian Minga watched every move carefully. This is getting interesting. The crowd thought Tong was done for, but as soon as Li Yuanxi threw a powerful punch, his hand hit something like steel. The adamantium was now inside Tong. His new ability was steel transformation, the power to turn parts of his body into steel. As Li Yuanxi came to throw a second punch, Tong ducked and delivered a powerful kick to his knees with his steel transformed leg. Li lost his balance and fell. Tong immediately started raining down punches, but Li was no pushover. He grabbed Tong and slammed him to the ground. Now Tong wrapped his legs around Li's neck like a snake. One of Li's arms was completely blocked, but he had another, and he was about to smash Tong's skull. Tong knew, he's really going to kill me. Roaring in anger, he pulled Li's hand free, and launching himself up with his legs, escaped the deadly move. Tong then leaped from behind to apply a chokehold on Li's neck. Everything was perfectly smooth and fluid. The crowd was stunned. Only one person's eyes were shining, Qian Minga's. Now I like you even more. Li Yuanxi laughed and said, this much strength will do nothing. He thought he could easily break free. But this time, Tong activated steel transformation and also used metal manipulation to infuse his arms with the strength of steel. With a terrifying metallic sound, his grip tightened. Li began to suffocate. System warning: excessive body manipulation may cause physical damage. Tong's eyes turned red, his veins ready to burst. There was no question of backing down now. He was determined to teach him a lesson. Below the ring, Li's comrades panicked. Sergeant Wusong, we have to stop the match! Li will never give up. But when the sergeant looked into Tong's eyes, his hair stood on end, and for a second, he felt like he had to pee. The man who used to bully Tong with Li was now afraid. Meanwhile, Li Yuanxi was on the verge of fainting. He muttered to himself, damn it, how did I lose to this F-class insect, and in front of so many people? With anger and shame, the power inside him began to boil. Red steam swirled around his body, and in a single burst, he became even more powerful, strong enough to tear through the roof. But Tong was like a leopard that has grabbed its prey by the neck and has no intention of letting go. A different kind of glint appeared in Qian Minga's eyes. Tong understood this was Li Yuanxi's last desperate effort, a strike with all his remaining strength. But Tong didn't care. He poured all his magic into his grip and held it tight. Soon, Li's body went limp. He had fainted. Tong silently registered the win. There was no nervousness on his face, nor was his breathing heavy. But his invisible aura was so formidable that everyone else automatically backed away. Only Park Jun Mao came up to him and asked, "Are you okay?" Tong didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on Wusong, warning him with his gaze, "Don't make any unnecessary moves." Just then, Qian Minga himself came up to him. After a brief conversation, Tong's identity was confirmed. Then he asked, "Soldier Tong, would you like to join the Black Tiger unit?" He handed him a business card. The entire field was stunned. The Black Tiger unit was the special forces famous for assassinating monster chieftains and dungeon bombing. But Tong calmly refused, saying, "I'm just an F-class private." Qian Minga laughed. "Ranks are for ordinary people. We need you." Tong was a little confused. If the Black Tiger unit stunted his growth, all of humanity would be doomed again. Finally, he took the card and said, "I'll think about it." That evening, Qian Minga arrived at Diamond's office. "How's the Black Tiger unit doing?" Diamond asked. Qian Minga sighed warily. "We're very short on people." Diamond immediately guessed. "So you're looking for Chu Young-jin, the one who could have become an inspector?" Qian Minga smiled. "Exactly. But I just found someone even better." But evening had fallen. Tong was still training on the field with Park Jun-mo loitering behind him. Suddenly, Park grabbed Tong in a hug. "Dad! How did all this happen? How did you get so strong so quickly? Please teach me too." On the other side, Diamond stood in the darkness, watching everything. He picked up the phone. "Pull all of Soldier Tong's pre-enlistment files." Hanging up, Diamond muttered to himself, "Tong, I should be sorry, but now I want you even more." But the next day, Diamond had pulled up Tong's entire background, including some illegal records. Tong was a little embarrassed, but Diamond didn't punish him. He said, "You are the one I have chosen." Just then, Tong made a request. "I want to select a new weapon." Diamond immediately approved. In exchange for his service in the Goblin incident, Tong went to the armory with Valkyrie. Glittering weapons were all around, but he paid them no mind. He pretended to think for a long time and then picked up a rusted bronze sword. The Cloud Sword. This sword could absorb moisture and release smoke. Its real name was the sword hidden in clouds, used by the war god Cloud Master. Its ultimate form was lightning, pure masculine energy falling from the sky. In his past life, the Lord had reached a high rank with this very sword. Valkyrie said irritably, "I don't like your record, but picking up this piece of junk is truly foolish." Tong did a few practice swings and said, "It feels good. I'll take this one." He was still speaking when an alarm blared throughout the base. A new portal had opened in the middle of the city, and monkey men were coming out of it. Everyone immediately scrambled to put on their armor, but Tong was completely calm, as if he already knew everything. Seeing his calmness, even Valkyrie was a little impressed. Soon, the city's guilds and military units arrived at the portal site. Seeing the expensive gear and shining weapons of the Blue Lotus Guild, many soldiers decided, "After I'm discharged, I'm joining them." Meanwhile, Tong was holding a meeting with his squad. These monkey men are fast and use poison-tipped arrows and gas attacks. During the fight, keep every part of your body covered and be sure to wear a gas mask. The other squad started laughing. The support team is having a meeting on tactics. Are you guys going to the front lines? Tong's face turned serious. There are many routes in the city. The monkey men can also infiltrate from behind. We need to be vigilant. The man in front replied jokingly, "If that happens, I'll handle it, bot." But Tong remembered his past life. The monkey men had reached the rear unit through the sewers. Everyone was caught off guard. First, they were incapacitated by the poison gas. Then an arrow silently pierced Tong. A monkey man's dagger was about to fall on him when Park Jamal jumped in between. He blocked the attack, but that arrow cost Tong an eye. As Park was about to put a gas mask on Tong, another dagger plunged into his chest, and he died on the spot. This was Tong's biggest regret, and it was why the Steel Emperor always walked with a patch over one eye. Now Tong shouted, "Dismissed! This is a battlefield. Death can come at any moment. It's foolish to take anything lightly." He immediately ordered everyone to install sensors in the sewers but held Park Jun-Mao back. "Someone will take my place. Move your squad out of the combat zone." Park Jun-Mao was shocked. Leaving the combat zone? That's desertion. Tong replied in a cold tone, "This is my strategy. Soldier Park Jun-Mao, follow your squad leader's orders." Soon, Lemming Shi made it clear he didn't like Tong's sensor setup. He lashed out at Tong. Wasting so many resources to deal with a few monkeys is foolish. Besides, we have the support of the Blue Lotus Guild. The 1st Battalion will clean everything up in the next 20 minutes. Your support squad is just here to provide gas masks and supplies. But Tong didn't budge. "We are just carrying out the deputy commander's orders to prevent the monkey men from entering the civilian shelters through the back routes." He said this so loudly that everyone's attention turned to Lemming Shi. Lemming Shi became uncomfortable. Just because the deputy commander liked your idea doesn't mean you can forget your place. "Stop all this, Staff Sergeant Tong." At that moment, Deputy Commander Lilith arrived. "Lieutenant Lemming Shi, what's going on here?" Lemming Shi was embarrassed. "I was just guiding the new leader of the support team," Lilith said directly to Tong. "The commander has summoned you." Tong was shocked. Meh, but the monkey men could appear at any moment. But Lilith confirmed it, so Tong asked her to help set up the sensors. A little later, Tong had a meeting in a camouflage truck with Commander Diamond and Qian Minga. Diamond had summoned Tong for a special mission to command the 1st Battalion because Chu Young-jin was on leave. Tong now had to close the dungeon to stop more monsters from emerging. Meanwhile, the 1st Battalion had launched its first attack. Entering a large warehouse, they formed a formation with shields in front and mages and gunmen behind. As the monkey men broke through, flames erupted from the formation and bullets rained down, pushing them back. Tong was shocked. He had been given this responsibility, but his own squad was in danger. He respectfully declined. "I've been in logistics until now. My command could endanger the lives of the 1st Battalion." Diamond pressured him. "This is your test. Prove our faith in you." Just then, alarms blared in the control room. The monkey men had broken the cordon and were heading towards shelters 2 and 3. Diamond commanded, "Logistics units, prepare for combat." Tong could no longer remain silent. "Seer, I understand you want to test me, but the lives of the 1st Battalion and my squad are more precious than any test. Even if my refusal goes against me, I will not endanger the lives of my comrades." Diamond took a deep breath. "If this is your decision, then do what you must. But soldier, there are consequences for disobeying orders." Without telling Tong, Diamond had already sent Valkyrie to Tong's squad. Valkyrie's subordinate asked, "This is the safest area of the battlefield. Is there really a need to guard here?" Valkyrie just shook her head. "I don't know the commander's intention, but an order is an order." Just then, she saw Tong running and shouting, "Support squad, full retreat." As he spoke, the ground began to shake. The sensors in the sewer activated one by one. Park Jun, Mao, and Lilith had sensed the danger. The next moment, thousands of green, pillar-like flames erupted from the sewer, and a green poison gas enveloped the logistics unit. "Shit, this is all happening faster than I remember." Tong quickly put on his gas mask and poured water on his cloud sword. The sword absorbed moisture, but its absorption was only at 25%. Peering through the poisonous fog, he muttered, "Park Jun Mao, I hope you followed my order and left with the squad." But the reality was the opposite. Park Jun Mao was already fighting a monkey man. The monkey man was using the poison gas to attack from behind. Park was injured, and then Mingtai was also attacked. I quickly signaled for Mingtai to get down and pushed the monkey's back by firing the gun relentlessly. His team provided cover, and Mingtai was dragged to a defensive position, clutching his wound. There was some barrier magic there, but it could only hold off the monkeys for a short time. Inside, Lilith was trembling with fear. She was a C-class healer, but this was her first real battlefield. Seeing her cowering in a corner, Park Jun Mao tried to encourage her, but Lilith didn't respond. Mao was shocked. It's understandable to be scared in a first battle, but as the support squad's deputy leader, what should she do? Just then, a soldier brought more bad news. "Deputy leader, we're almost out of bullets, and with reduced firepower, the monkey men are surrounding us." Mao pulled his hair in panic. "To hell with it! What do we do now? Just wait here to die." Then a strange thought flashed through his mind. If Tong were here, what would he do? Meanwhile, Mingtai fainted from blood loss. The soldiers called for Lilith to heal him, but Mao shouted, "Retreat with all the injured!" This is not desertion, it's the captain's order. Everyone was confused. If they retreated, the monkey men would enter the refugee area and harm civilians. Mao hurriedly explained, "Captain Tong has already deployed backup. As soon as I give the signal, run." But Park didn't know that Tong hadn't sent any backup. He was about to face the entire monkey man army alone. At that moment, Park activated his lightning ability. A thin stream of electricity, as powerful as a mobile phone charger, came out of his hammer. All the monkey men turned towards the light shining in the poison mist. Mao saw his chance, raised his hammer, and ran straight towards them. His action gave the team some relief, and he immediately signaled the others to retreat. Seeing him run, everyone's heart was heavy. The monkey men soon surrounded him, but Mao had no regrets. If it were Tong, he thought, he would have made me the bait without hesitation too. Just then, a bright light tore through the night sky, and the nearest monkey man was sliced apart. Park collapsed, tired but alive. He looked up and saw a familiar, strong figure. Seeing him, Park felt safe for the first time. The cloud sword was now fully charged, its mist holding back the poisonous fog. Tong said, "You did much more than I expected, Vice Captain Park. Thank you for staying alive." Then Tong unleashed his daggers among the monkey men. Wherever the blue light went, only screams and the stench of death remained. Looking at the fallen magic steel, a strange glint appeared in Tong's eyes. "Haha, Vice Captain Park, you've served me a magnificent feast today. Now, I shall begin my feast." Suddenly, the magic circles on the foreheads of all the monkey men began to glow. Both Tong and Park were shocked. The monkey men changed direction and ran straight towards the support team. Tong smelled danger and told Park to help them. Meanwhile, the sniper team led by Valkyrie couldn't lock on to targets because of the dense fog. Valkyrie sent some comrades to the Green Lotus Guild station to intercept the monkey men. A soldier asked her, "Aren't you coming with us?" Valkyrie was suspicious. How did Tong know everything that was going to happen? To confirm her suspicions, she jumped into the poisonous fog herself. Meanwhile, the support team was trying to save Mingtai. The bleeding wouldn't stop. A soldier said despairingly, "Mingtai isn't going to make it." Someone called out, "Vice Platoon Leader Lilith, please get a grip." But Lilith, cowering in the corner, was still overcome with fear. She was the team's only healer. Just then, a strange energy started forcefully pulling at the boxes around their defensive position. Just as the rune lines of the formation were about to break, two soldiers held on with all their might. Another soldier ran up, screaming for help. This energy wasn't from an ordinary enemy, it was from their leader. Suddenly, the leader increased his magical input. With a sharp crack, the rune lines shattered. The monkey men that Park had risked his life to push back had returned. Just as everything was about to fall apart, the eyes of the two soldiers holding the boxes reflected defeat. It's all over. Vice Captain Park has probably sacrificed his life. But just then, two shadows appeared behind the monkey men. "You sons of bitches, if you touch my team, I'll cut you to pieces." A loud voice echoed, and a dagger flew through the air. Tong controlled it and threw it straight at the leader's head. The leader dodged, but the dagger changed its angle and came at him again. There was a strange confidence in the leader's movements. He stylishly dodged repeatedly. Tong stopped the attack and saw that all the poison gas containers had been destroyed. Anger flashed in the leader's eyes. The monkey men now ran towards Tong on a new order, but as they got close, they scattered like trapped prey. Tong was confused but kept moving forward. Then dozens of blowpipes rose from all around, and hundreds of poisonous needles flew silently. Tong spun his cloud sword with lightning speed, blocking all the needles on Park's left. But it seemed impossible to avoid the needles from the right. "Park, get down!" Tong screamed, activating his ability to deflect the needles. But the energy drain was so fast that his dagger went out of control. He realized all the monkey men were under the leader's control. He decided to retreat with Park and shouted, "Retreat!" to the defensive position. But the monkey men didn't back down. Poisonous needles flew again, but Tong used his metal sense to detect and deflect them, jumping back into the formation. He now had his old, arrogant expression on his face. The monkey man leader gritted his teeth in anger. Tong turned and saw his team was in bad shape. Park looked worried. Captain Tong, Mingtai's pulse is very weak. Tong looked around and found Lilith trembling in the corner. "Mingtai is dying and you're hiding here, Lilith." He knew it was a panic attack, but she was their only healer. Without wasting a moment, Tong slapped her hard. "Do you want everyone to die? Snap out of it, Lilith." The slap brought her to her senses. Seeing Tong's desperate eyes, Lilith understood it was no longer time to run. She put her cowardice aside and began to cast healing magic with both hands. Her magic continuously healed Mingtai's wounds. Although a lot of blood had been lost, Lilith did not give up.